All right, happening now. We have exclusive reporting from CNN's team on the ground in Syria just days after the fall of the Assad regime. Loud explosions rocked Damascus overnight, plumes of smoke hanging over the city. CNN's Klarissa Ward, one of the few Western journalists on the ground in the region. Klarissa is with me now. Communications have been tough. We have you. Please just tell me where you are. What's behind you?
So, John, we are actually here in one of several garages belonging to Bashar al-Assad. We are on the compound of the presidential palace, and you can see this is a man who had expensive tastes. We've seen Aston Martins, we've got Lamborghinis, we've got Ferraris. I want to add as well that we've been walking through this compound. There are many garages. We were just in a lot where there were dozens and dozens of armored cars, if you can believe that. I don't know how anyone would need so many armored cars. And I'm bringing you over here because you can see this collection of classic cars over here. And the reason this is all significant, John, the reason that we're talking about this, that we're showing you this, is because really this is indicative of the deep, deep corruption of the Assad regime, which is a big part of why this whole uprising started in the first place back in 2011. Bashar al-Assad had been ruling for some years, his father for many decades before, and the levels of corruption and greed, the opulence and the lavish lifestyle, when so many Syrians were struggling to put food on the table. You imagine, John, the last 14 years Syrians have been under bombardment. They've been tortured, maimed, kidnapped, killed. And meanwhile, Bashar al-Assad was living literally like a king, with garages full of cars, with palaces, with incredible mosaics and marble. And we actually watched in the presidential palace some ordinary people who managed to sneak in, walking around with their jaws dropped. They could not believe how he was living at a time when Syria was suffering so acutely. And so this really is a metaphor for the root of the rot, for where it all started and what it really means, the spirit of this Syrian uprising. Obviously, we're not going to sugarcoat it. There is a lot of anxiety in this moment. There is a lot of anxiety about the makeup of rebel forces, about whether there will be chaos, whether there will be strict Islamic law. And so it's not that everybody is out in the streets celebrating, but most Syrians are united in finding these displays of wealth and opulence truly sickening and indicative of the sickness of the Assad regime, John.
Klarissa, you can add my jaw to the list of those that have dropped at these images behind you, these rows and rows of luxury cars, given what's happened in Syria. Also, I guess my surprise that days after the Assad regime fell, that they're still there and in one piece. So explain to me the state of civil society in Damascus right now. Is there law and order?
Right now there is. There was half a day when Assad first fell, where there was looting in the streets. It was quite chaotic. Then you had more rebel forces from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham coming down from the north with orders to really secure the capital. And they're the ones who are in charge of this entire complex. They are not letting anybody in and out. I believe we're some of the few who have managed to get in here, and they have taken pains again and again to keep telling us that the cars have not been touched, that the cars will not be moved, that the cars will not be stolen, because they see their lack of corruption as being a badge of honor and a real contrast to the behavior of the regime. There was in the presidential palace in parts evidence that in those initial hours or that first day after Assad fell, that people had come in and ransacked the palace. But again, the rebels were really stressing to us, this wasn't our group, we don't do this. Now, I will say one small detail that I found interesting, John. When we went into the palace, the rebels who were guarding it would not talk to me or look at me until I put my scarf on. And so as much as they are making these moves and saying things such as, you know, people can wear what they want, this is a pluralistic society, we respect the rights of minorities, you do still have absolutely extremely conservative tendencies from the majority of these rebel forces who are now controlling much of this country, John.
And that has been one of the major questions. Islamic fundamentalism, what role will it play among the people who may rule this country going forward? Clárisa Ward, we're so lucky to have you there in front of these cars, symbolic of what has happened in Syria for the last several decades, symbolic of what is happening at this very moment that you were allowed in to show people these pictures. Thank you for the work you and your team are doing. Please keep us posted.
It's interesting because the first couple of days we were here, the streets were pretty subdued. There was a lot of anxiety. And today we're really seeing people are out and they are celebrating. Take a look behind me. All these young people, they are celebrating. They are posing for photographs, holding up their babies to show with rebel fighters. And I actually wanted to bring in, I've just been talking here with this young Syrian woman, Judith. Tell me how this movie feels.
As you can, is this working?
Yes, it's working.
As you can see, this is 50 years of silence. This is the reaction. 50 years, he kept us in the dark. He kept us in the death. This is the reaction of the Syrian people after 50 years of this regime, of this death, of this darkness. This is the new generation that will come out to the light now.
So
this is the reaction.
How does it feel for you?
For me, as a 25 years old daughter, this is my father and this is my mother. This is unspeakable reaction. This is me coming to the light again. It's the rebirth of the Syrian people again.
Did you ever imagine after 14 years?
No. For me, it's been 13 years. For my dad, it's been 50 years.
And when you see, look behind here, you see rebel fighters with their technicals, with their big weapons.
This is victory. This is the happiness I have never witnessed before. I've been living 13 years in war, in death, in darkness. And this is amazing. This is unspeakable, actually. This is here you can see the breath of freedom. This is absolutely amazing. I hope we can do more. This is only the beginning. It has to be a mess in the beginning, but I'm sure we can do something more and more in the future.